Hello friends, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. The EA FIFA 23 Team of the Season has arrived. And there are some tweaks that I would like to make. Let's have a look at it. Because the guys there, they said, Jim, would you like to talk about the Team of the Season? I said, yes. Makes sense, doesn't it? This time of the year. So we're going to have a look at it. The formation is the same formation that I do with a lot of the videos that I do. That 4-3-3. I just think it's gorgeous. But I would make a twist on this team. And I think there's a few, I don't want to say mistakes, because actually when I looked into it, I was thinking, oh, that's lazy. And then it's not lazy. Because there's some calls here that I was like, oh no, surely this person's got to be in. Surely they don't. It's a good team. And actually it's far more of a fair team than I thought. But I would make a couple of changes. I'm going to go through it one by one. I'm going to put forward a couple of changes that I would make and then one final twist at the end. Make sure you stick around for that, because I feel like it's necessary if you want to really find the team of the season. Let's start off with the goalkeepers. Aaron Ramsdale got the nod ahead of my pick. So there's a few here that are like bang on and spot on, and we'll just talk about those players in their entirety. But the goalkeeping position is up for grabs. Now, Ramsdale has kept Arsenal in it. He's also made a couple of clangers. Southampton, right? He's had a good season. When I had a look at it a little bit deeper, I just can't get away from Alisson in the season that he's had. I think he's utterly brilliant. He's got the same amount of assists as Anthony this season. I'll just let that hang in the air for a second before I explain that it's just one assist. But it's the same amount. He's prevented 7.7 goals this season, which is super, super strong. And when it comes to him and Ramsdale, got the same amount of clean sheets. I think actually maybe Alisson might even have one more. And in terms of save percentage, Alisson's save percentage is better as well. And that's with that Liverpool side, you know, struggling this year. So I get why they went with Ramsdale. I hear you. Not in my team. I think I would have gone with Alisson. I think he's kept them in it at times. And what we've got to keep remembering is, how did it feel in November? How did it feel in February? How did it feel at these different times of the season? So with Arsenal, they have been wonderful. They have been wonderful. But they've also dominated a lot of games as well. And so I think Alisson, for what he's been put under, I think Bernd Leno as well is a huge shout for this. But I think when it comes to the team of the season, it's that mix between who is the best, but they have to have also had a wonderful season. Those are the two things that matter to me. Moving on into the right-back position, Kieran Trippier, absolute no-brainer. Made 97 key passes for Newcastle this season. That's almost triple. That's almost triple that of second place for Newcastle in Bruno Guimaraes. I know a lot of these are set pieces, but Bruno Guimaraes, 37, he's been absolutely amazing and is the metronome for that side. But actually, Kieran Trippier gets on the ball a hell of a lot from that right side of the pitch. I think he's been amazing. And crucial moment, I think, in the season, that stunning free kick against Man City right at the start. Man City looked pretty imperious straight away, and especially with the squad, I think everyone was pretty scared. And Newcastle had a bit of a go at them, and it felt like, oh, hang on a minute. We've got ourselves a team. Centre-back positions. Now, this is interesting. I would have had William Saliba. EA have gone with William Saliba. Great choice. I just think he's been, and I use this word too much, gorgeous. I think he's just been so impressive. He's sort of gliding through games. Yes, he's been injured, and that, I think that makes it sort of debatable, because, you know, if you're not playing, then, you know, you're not an asset. But I think throughout the season, he's just been absolutely fantastic. 83% challenge success rate, you know, all alone there sometimes on that right-hand side. Yes, you've got Ben White in front of him, but still offered up a few goals as well. And that success rate is the most of any Arsenal player to play any meaningful minutes. I just think he really arrived on the scene, and that mix of being a great player for the team. I think we've seen how they struggle without him. There's a bit of a drop-off there. Maybe that's about the squad more so than the player. But you can't doubt that when you are missing a play like that, it's just a bit of a game changer. And that pulls into focus just how good he has been. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. And if I might say so, right in the middle of pre-season, I got laughed at for saying he was going to start for Arsenal this year. Allcott was right for once. The other centre-back position is where I have a different player in there. But when I looked at it and I compared the two, I couldn't believe it. EA are probably right when it comes down to the stats. Now, they've gone for Ruben Dias. I want John Stones. I think I would stick with John Stones because I think, the new role that he's played, I think he's just been fantastic from that point of view. Defensively, still incredibly solid, but showing a lot more going forward as well. Now, you don't have to be that, and I think it's one player that really has missed out here is Sven Botman, and he's a bit more like Ruben Dias, where, defender first, solid on the ball, good on the ball, but loves defending. I'm not saying John Stones doesn't, but I just think John Stones has been really, really, really impressive game by game. Obviously, so many more touches in difficult areas, essentially playing as a midfielder. You've got players playing in two positions, and I think that's really, really impressive, and so I would have put him in there. But when I compared the two, I was certain John Stones would have played more games, but Ruben Dias has actually played more games this season, which is amazing. 2 goals, 2 assists for John Stones, obviously playing a little bit higher at the pitch. Ruben Dias will be disappointed with that in terms of his end product for someone who's so imperious in the air. 7 clean sheets for Ruben Dias, 5 for John Stones. So it is pretty tight between the two of them. I would still go with John Stones as my centre-back. I just think he's been so impressive this year. And in terms of being the best, I think he is right up there as well. So that lovely little concoction, that's crucial in terms of my cocktail for players that are going to make it in. I would have gone with John Stones. Left back, I've got a problem with as well. EA, sorry, but I disagree. You've gone with Zinchenko. I think Zinchenko's been great. I think he has. And again, I can twist this around in my mind a little bit, and you guys might feel the same, especially Arsenal fans, if you step away from kind of recency bias with the idea that maybe Zinchenko's not been at his total best in the last few games, but you could say the same for most of the Arsenal side. He has been a lot of the things that I said about John Stones in terms of being able to play in 2 different positions. He's been phenomenal from that point of view. I just can't... I've got to pick up a Purvis here. Purvis Estupiñán, I think, deserves to be in this team. I just really believe that. You've got to have some Brighton representation here. And 1.4 key passes per 90. He came in from Villarreal. I remember seeing him against Liverpool and thinking in the Champions League semi-final, I thought, this is a good player here. But that was quite a defensive side that Unai Emery set up there. And for him to come into such an expressive team in Brighton and 5.56 progressive passes per 90, which is a career high for him. He is that progressive cornerstone of which Brighton play. I don't think Matoma has the season that he's having if you don't have Estupiñán and the runs that he makes, the underlapping runs, the overlapping runs, the crosses, the attacking threat, the defensive stability as well. 2 assists in that game against Leicester, I remember. That was a 2-2 draw, second being in the 88th minute. That was a huge moment that he's had in this season as well. I just think left-back's been quite a poor area this year, or there's not been this plethora of players. Enough P's there, right? And in my video where I built the ultimate Premier League squad that we did this week, go check that out. There was only a couple of options. It was him or Luke Shaw, really, and then Zinchenko as well. I get why they went with Zinchenko, but for me, it's perverse to not have Purvis. Into the midfield, and absolutely bang on if you're playing this formation. Casemiro, I think, has to go in there. A couple of suspensions in there, but the thing I would say with that is they were pretty unfair suspensions along the way. 5.25 tackles and interceptions per 90. Most of any Man United player. It's only better by the likes of Paulinho. I think is probably a little bit hard done by to not make it in. Idrissa Gueye, I think, is the other one when it comes to players who've had a decent amount of minutes. And I think, look, putting the League Cup to one side, think of that 94th minute equaliser against Chelsea, stepping up in big moments, assisting Bruno's goal against Man City this year as well. 4 tackles and 2 interceptions against Villa in that 1-0 win just recently. When he's playing well, or when he decides to play well, it really elevates the rest of the team, more so, I think, than Rodri and Partey. And actually, I'm being quite harsh on Rodri. I think he's really unlucky to miss out here. And he's probably a bit of a victim of having such a great team around him, whereas it's probably a bit more obvious with Casemiro. But incredible leadership from him, I think, this season. The other 2 picks that they put forward, I totally agree with as well. Kevin De Bruyne, 23 goal contributions. You could say more so, maybe I'm getting this wrong as well, but for the first time, really dragging, a little bit, dragging Man City to the title more so than he ever has done before in terms of setting up goals. 16 assists this year is, again, ridiculous. 20 big chances created, 23 goal contributions, 7 goals. Big goals in big games. Stepping up in big games as well. 2 goals and assist against Arsenal, a goal and assist against Liverpool, a goal and assist against Arsenal in the reverse fixture. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, when it matters as well, really, really stepping up. And a huge reason why Haaland's probably scored the goals he has this season. Odegaard, the second pick here, 21 goal contributions. So just underneath him, 14 goals and 7 assists, which is interesting. A few more goals there, being able to kind of make his way into that penalty area, as we saw very recently with the 2 goals against Chelsea. He's also made more than 1 goal contribution in 5 separate games this season for a midfielder. I think that's a really, really impressive one. And he, again, I think has really stamped his mark on this Arsenal team and on the league this year, so much so that we're starting to make those comparisons with him and Kevin De Bruyne. So he's really, really stepped up as well. That whole midfield for me, well done EA, spot on. On to the forwards, and let's have a look at Erling Haaland, because of course he's in the team of the season, rightly so. I'd love to hear an argument as to why he shouldn't be in the team of the season. Let me know in the comments down below. That would be fascinating to read. 35 goals in 31 games. He broke the record for the most Premier League goals. It's historic. It's his debut season as well. He's an utter joke, a complete beast. He scored 4 Premier League hat-tricks in 19 matches. That's 46 games quicker than Ruud van Nistelrooy, who is thought of as one of the most predatory players to ever play in the Premier League. How many P's do you want in this video? Bloody hell. I mean, he's been phenomenal. You know, it's like it will go down as a vintage season for him and probably his pinnacle. You know, if you think about Ronaldo in 96, 97, I think that's the best that Ronaldo was R9. And that season at Barcelona, where he was just ravaging defenders. Now, different players. But Haaland this year has been an utter bully. And the season's not over yet either. So it's going to be interesting to see how many goals he finishes on. Have a little prediction, actually, another one for the comments. How many goals do you think he'll finish on this season if you want to predict it? Okay, now we've got some problems because I have some different ideas on this. But again, EA, believe it or not, have done their homework. Moving on to those final 2 wide forwards. And I was like, whoa, no Saka. No Martinelli in the team of the season for a team that has been top of the league for 93% of the season. That is pretty outrageous, especially with the goals and numbers that they put up. Let's have a look at it, because on the left-hand side, you've got Rashford, who's got 21 goal contributions at 16 goals and 5 assists. And actually, if you compare him with Martinelli has 15 goals and 5 assists. But he's done it in 34 games. Rashford's done it in 31. He scored 12 goals since Christmas. Obviously, went to the World Cup, caught fire, came back, continued to scorch. And his goal contribution is 0.74 per 90. Absolutely amazing. 6 of those goals being winning goals as well, I think is really, really important. And actually, he would make it into mine. He is undeniable. He has to be in there. He's got 10 more goals than the next best for Man United. They would be all at sea without those goals. Massively so. He's become so, so important. And at one point, I think he was probably the best player in the world. He was absolutely on fire. You'll laugh at that, but it was true. Got to keep trying to move your mind to those different moments of the season. But no doubt Martinelli has had just a phenomenal season, especially for a player so young. And Rashford, I think it's a kind of a different plaudit for him, where he'd had that moment of being great and being young, being potential, and then he'd had that dip last season. So for him to come back, I think adds a little bit more when it comes to, you know, I guess the nourishment of the soul when it comes to the picks for this team of the season. And on the other side, Salah makes it ahead of Saka in the derby here. Ding-dong affair. And when it comes to goal contributions, both, again, have had absolutely fantastic seasons. And both have played the same amount of games. And when you do compare them, I was certain Saka's probably got better numbers, surely. But Liverpool's sort of been creeping up in terms of their form, and at the time of recording, Salah now has more goal contributions than Saka. Saka, 13 goals and 11 assists, incredibly well-rounded in terms of both sides of the game, creating and scoring goals yourself. We know what Salah's about. More so, it's about those goals, but actually his assist numbers over the years have been fantastic. I think it's only one season where he's not got into double figures. This year he's on 18 goals all of a sudden and 7 assists. So when it comes to these two, Salah was chosen by EA. I get it. I respect it. I understand it. But it wouldn't be the player that I would pick. I would go with Saka. And this will go against kind of the stats and general logic. I guess I get that. But I think for how special a season Arsenal have had, for what the expectations of them was at the start of the season, to have all those goal contributions, 24, to create 98 chances from open play this season. He's also stepped up in really big moments. I know he's missed a penalty against West Ham, but you can't isolate that on its own. You've got to look at the season as a whole. And time and again, I think he's stepped up with some cool finishes. Winning goal against Leeds, the match-winning assist against Chelsea, match-winning assist against Aston Villa. Loads of moments where Saka has stepped up. And I'd give it to the kid. Do you know what I mean? If it was me, but I get why EA have gone with Salah. Let me know what you're thinking on this one. I think this is one of the closest ones, Salah versus Saka. Who would you go for? Because I think at goal contributions, it's very, very tight right now, 25 against 24. But Saka, and what he's done for this Arsenal team, I can't not give it to him. So that's my team according to that formation. But if I was really picking my team, it would be different. There is one man that has to be in this team of the season. He's been absolutely ridiculous. 28 goal contributions. 44% of the goals that this team have scored this season have come from this man. He's scored 11 goals in his last 13 Premier League games for a team that is in utter turmoil right now. And who knows where they would be if he wasn't in the side. Harry Kane must be in this team. 25 goals from an XG of 19.4. He's gone and scored goals himself. He's gone and done it himself this year. He's dragged this team on his back. He has to make it in there. So I would tweak the formation. And I think EA should have done this themselves. You have to find a way to get Harry Kane in for the season he's had this year. So I would bump out Odegaard. I would play a 4-1-3-2. Yep. I would play a 4-1-3-2, otherwise known as a 4-4-2. I'll play Casemiro at the base of it, KDB in attacking midfield, Kane up front with Haaland, and Saka and Rashford. That would be my team of the season. But what would your team be? Let me know in the comments down below. Massive thank you to EA for giving me a little insight in the team before it's launched, but it's out right now. Let me know what you think about that team of the season from EA as well. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and I'll see you soon.
The things he could do with a ball, not many people could do. Like he's like your favourite player's favourite player. If you were a striker, who would you want to feed you the ball?
See, that's a hard question.
That sounds fair, yeah.
You can't get mad at me for smiling and laughing.
I was marking him and he was literally like that far away from me, so I had him covered. And De Bruyne's on the ball, and I was like, "There's no way."
You both said Zidane.
Wait, what's going on here? This is just gonna be your team by the end of this.
You got Tyler Adams in there.
Oh wow.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel.